Moving to oneness. Nourishing curiosity. Embracing differences. Becoming one.
You may be hesitant in really following your dream and being free enough to choose what you desire or act on what you desire. No more, because there is no limitation. And my guest today is like a reset button for you. I really loved it. You said that just as we were prepping for this episode today. So hello, everyone. I'm Meilin and Endre, your host of the Moving to Oneness podcast. And today I have someone here for you from Hungary who has really searched around the globe for answers of self-worth. And I'll do a little spoiler. He's been on all 5 continents, 70 countries to find the truth for himself in different cultures and much more. So please, let's welcome Endre Hoffmann from Hungary. Thank you for being on this podcast, Moving to Oneness, in bringing your limitlessness along and all the tips of self-worth, how we can up that again, where, many cultures have subdued that over the last decades, 100 years, I would even say 1,000 years. So hello, Endre.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to contribute and inspire and maybe wake up some people who are living a life less than optimal or with too many things to put up with. And I believe that people do sometimes need an actual big red reset button to restart. I think I've seen so many people living half-lived life, almost having conditioning early on in life and living so limited. Mm-hmm. And then comes one point, usually it's midlife crisis, or sometimes well before or well after I've seen people at the 70s and 80s to wake up.
Yeah. What does the wake up mean? Give it other words, because sometimes people that wake up, they know they want to do something different. Do they want to leave a legacy? Do they want to have a reason that they have lived if it's later? Or is it there is an inner drive for younger generations when you're in, I don't know, your 20s, 30s, before the midlife crisis hits? What would you say?
I think it's not time specific. Mm-hmm. Probably it's more to the individual's journey and awareness. I see that many times it does take some kind of a crash or breakdown for people to wake up. There is a wonderful intro to this idea. I think that's the only film that you must have seen. It's Wayne Dyer's The Shift. That movie has, I think the first sentence in the movie, it says something like, the programs, the rules and laws and principles that worked for you in the morning of life, stepping into the afternoon, you find they all seem to fail and not bring results anymore. And I think that's what I call awakening moment, where we brought something from the past unaware with how we were brought up, values, habits, behaviors, attitudes, and the system starts to crack.
Yeah.
Relationships start to break, money, health starts to collapse, and the truth has to come out, because I believe we are all here to be on this amazing journey to learn about ourselves or who we are. And I think we need some pain to wake up from the slumber, wake up from sleep, wake up from unawareness.
Yeah.
Which is crisis most of the time.
Yeah, and crisis can be a hit like boom, right? Maybe you lose a job, you're left from a partner, you have an accident. Then maybe social crashes, right? Economic crashes. Then there could be, I don't know, long term where you slowly and you cannot do no more. It's like, if you don't do now change, I'm gonna die. It's a feeling like a explosion if you don't act on your own truth. So your self-worth, if I understand correctly, is really living one's own truth and laying off all those rules, let's say them, cultural, social, where one has made oneself fit in. I've done that. You have done that. You traveled because of that. You wanted to break out of an extreme system you grew up as a child. You also had a father that was rather strict, if I understand correctly. And then also just the freedom that you were able to go across the border and then explore the world where others had the ability to explore the world, were not caged in a way by politics, right? But you went out then and wanted to get to know other cultures, also other landscapes, because I sense you're also very connected to landscapes. And
Certainly.
yeah, and to find that information for you. Can you tell me what was for you the biggest oomph why you then moved? There had to be like a oomph where you said, now I have to go, because you lived then in many cultures, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, before you just turned back here to Europe 2 years ago. But what was there? Can you remember? It was a while back, but can you remember?
Yes, it was feeling low self-worth, low self-confidence. It was pain, as usual. The biggest driver, I believe, in human behavior or whatever people do is either avoiding pain or, 10% of the cases it's inspiration to follow someone's bliss or dreams. But mostly it's to do with something to run away from. And I spent
that's a good point.
most of my childhood in this. I felt disconnected from my dad. He's been quite angry at times, drinking a bit. We had a few fights, physical fights, but he knew it all, and I couldn't have a say. He's been quite aggressive at times. I was scared of him, and he was able to find faults. Whatever I was doing, a professional criticizer, sometimes I call him. And of course, later on, when I failed in something that I tried, he pointed at the "I told you" type of it's exactly the opposite that I'm doing now. I'm reversing these negative down spirals of losing confidence and self-worth, and he's been putting people down around himself. He didn't trust anyone, and I fell into this game to gain his love, recognition, or at least to feel seen as human and as a son. But it seemed like I could not fit in to his expectations, and I found out later, it's very interesting, he's been supposedly proud of me. He was telling everyone about my feats and what I had done, because I had tried everything. I've run marathons and then ice climbing and then long distance swimming, all crazy things to raise his eyebrows. So maybe he would say, well done, son, or congratulations. But these two words were not in his vocabulary. So I thought maybe I have to just leave him behind and maybe the country behind, because obviously I was born in communist Hungary. But the system changed at my age 15, around 1990, and, the borders opened. And I thought, I can't deal with this. I cannot win his love. And I have become very angry. I found that I was very resentful toward my dad, because this is a kind of war zone where you cannot win. It was impossible he wouldn't listen, he would not open up, and he knew all the answers. So I felt like he was not open to evolve or even grow or learn about me or about anyone else. He's been 99% focused on his business, and it was not just me who had this experience around him. So I thought I need to find me. And obviously at home or maybe in this small country, I'm not comfortable, and I start a new life, the big reset button. It didn't go well, to be honest. I came to realize that traveling for 10 or 15 years and living overseas and on other continents, that although I invested heavily into books, personal development, meditation, past life regression, walking on fire, Anthony Robbins events, and John DeMartini's, Brian Tracy's programs, and somehow it was almost like, Neo in the Matrix had this split, the splinter in his mind.
Yeah.
I could not get beyond myself. This trauma has been so deep. I needed a big crash, like hitting that literal brick wall to wake up. And that came 8-9 years ago, living in Australia, where I already had 2 children, and one of my sons were already showing signs of lack of believing himself, lack of self-worth, and my wife asking me, is it time for us to divorce? I said, well, I can see why you're not believing me anymore, whether I will ever change, because I spent probably over $100,000, the price of a smaller property, to somehow reclaim who I was, or my greatness, or my genius that never came for over 22 years, consciously working on myself. And this leverage point in my life, the big wake-up call, also my health was deteriorating. So relationship with my wife, relationship with my children, and my health crashing has brought that point. On that week, I almost caused 2 accidents while I was driving trucks at night to make more money. Basically, I fell asleep and I started to roll. And once I woke up in the emergency lane driving, 80 kilometers an hour, and I knew I haven't got much left. So I will either kill someone else, kill myself, or do something different and find me. Because I felt inside there must be more for me in life than working for money. That was my reality, and always doubting myself and hating the small me who is just a victim of the past and having to work hard. And I don't believe in myself. I doubt my decisions and never feeling good enough. And the inner beat up mode of, I could do so much better, comparing myself constantly to others who are running businesses and careers. There's so much, this quantum soup, never wanting to leave my headspace. And then at that point, I said to my wife, look, before I answer, can you give me 1 or 2 days? Because I understand it looks like I could become a divorced dad, seeing my children maybe once a week. And somehow I had the balls to tell her that, look, I just won't give up. I spent 20 years, over $100,000. I might as well stay on this path of self-discovery for the rest of my life, because I believe if I don't do this work somehow, I don't get to a result, then I live for nothing. Then I'm handing on the usual traumas in my family that I've seen coming from 3 or 4 generations.
Yes.
And I said, I will be the transformational person somehow. I don't know what works. But I said to her, my option B, I let go most of my big goals, financial and all kinds. And I said, all right, this is the single thing that I want to achieve in this life. And my option B is I will drop that at one point, and I'll have a tomb inscribed that he tried until the last moment and he dropped that. This is the literal picture.
No, it's not funny, but I'm laughing because I understand you, and there's so many that have been in your shoes or are in your shoes right now with the same thoughts. Yes. Because if you have been looking for your own truth, the truth is not in the way like we're supposed to monetize, right? And whatever is created in your old systems that come from the 50s, I don't know, that they were just fine-tuned, they're not right. And we did never experience an upbringing like, let's say, on the spiritual path, some native cultures out of different on different continents, right? They already respect the baby, the seeker gift that the baby is. And none of us, especially in Europe, we're such a broken culture. We're now beginning to repair. And shamanically, I remember I asked once a long time one of my favorite teachers, and he said, you have to begin with ancestral work. That's the only start. To go and heal what has been, or to get an understanding where this trauma comes from. And man, we had, many, many, many of those. And how do you bring that truth then and bring it into monetary change? That is very difficult because we're humans, we're like animals. We don't really need money. We need freedom to move around like you did, no borders. We once did, right? You were with the Aborigines. You soaked up their energy, their knowledge, because it's deep within you and you understand them, because you're the healer within inside, or the shaman within inside of you. And we don't get the answers because we're not seen as that. We have the certain signs in the body, but our surrounding never understood us. And then to find the right people, it's like going in the barn and looking exactly for the needle in the hay. That can be unending work, but it does add up. It's like slow, 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 slow. And so it looks like that moment when your wife said, this can't go on like this. It's like a wake-up call. You asked yourself, and I did the same, and I said, for my son, I want to live my truth. And I went under the mine, not anyone's, also not in the spiritual realms, in anyone's what. And that has been also a long journey, not easy. Things came to it, but the answers came. And the ability, it's like you said, the reset button. I always say, like you're driving a certain speedy car, and then you have to hit the brakes. You have to bring that momentum, that car to a standstill, so you can, take the seatbelt off and step outside, and then choose a new car. First of all, you have to be able to stand there for a moment, after sitting and driving a let's say, fast car. and then choosing what car of all those cars, or maybe I have to rebuild my own car, and then you get in and slowly have to adjust and ride and until you have that momentum again and speed. And I think that it takes time. It's not a thing like this. And I'm really happy to hear that you experience, and I think exactly that experience, Endre, is what you're able to provide for people, because you went through everything they probably have experienced, right? And independent of what culture, because you've been in so many different cultures and got to know them, you got to know their landscape, because we communicate so much with the landscape. And often when the landscape had traumata, which it had as well, done by mostly us humans, it also reflects back that wisdom. So I'm very happy that you decided. It was a big decision and not easy, and you let someone else know who was dear to your heart, I want to go this way, and are you walking with me? And that suddenly is an invitation for a partner or children to say, yes, go and do that. Now we can back you up and we understand you, and you go into communication, right? So self-worth is also communicating what you're built out of, what you're worth, what you think is a worth, because worth is a word that can be seen in so many different ways.
Yes, I said to my wife that, look, I think there is a better version of us as a family in the future. There is a higher, more powerful version of me who is taking a leadership position, who is inspiring others. I just didn't know how that would ever happen, and I didn't honestly believe in it. But that moment when she somehow decided to stay with me, and sixth sense, probably my wife's sixth sense said that this time probably he's gonna make some changes, and I believe I had that over 100% commitment, because this is the other big lever in change.
Yes.
And ask yourself, if you're listening to us, how much do you want this? That was this beautiful, I'm not too sure if Archimedes was one of the Greek philosophers, was teaching a student once. And I think his teaching was, he pushed this student under the water. Mm-hmm. And he was struggling for his life for, I don't know, 30 to 60 seconds or something. And eventually he let him come up, and he said, do you want knowledge and the truth so much that you want it gasping for air?
Yeah.
This is how much you need to want it if you want true magic, substantial breakthroughs, new awareness, new consciousness to happen. It's not just a dabbling game, which I probably was doing before. The other problem was I was loaded up on IQ, and I come across a lot of people who done most of the programs, the books, they know they have the answers intellectually. But when it comes to living, making decisions for themselves, they can't live the IQ, the wisdom that they have accumulated. They cannot apply it. And this is where I say you may need a new experience of yourself rather than learning more. Experiencing your authentic self. I love this word, authenticity. Is really your playful self. I believe we all deserve to go back to almost childlike state. Enjoy what we do, immerse ourselves in the moment, spending time in flow, in creative activities or whatever is your forte. And enjoying the moment, ideally you want to somehow get paid for it, of course, because this balance of commerciality and money and doing what you love is a wonderful marriage. But if you are safe and you have got to that point, I believe you are setting up your playground for the rest of your lives.
Yeah, because you are the authenticity, which is also a word used in different levels. For me, being my authentic truth is the purity of my thought and my actions. Now, that's not easy to do when your whole environment does something totally different. To give yourself allow yourself to try it out, to experience it. And you're so right. We have to experience it ourselves, because the experiences are the biggest teachers. Even, go back to the shamanic, you do journeys, because every person, even though it's the same drum and it's the same intention set, everyone experiences something different, built on why they're here on earth. That's one thing. But also where they come from, what they love to do, how our body is, what our gender is, right? What our age is, what country we come from. Yeah, if you're all in one room, and everyone, it's different. The outcome, even at the end, is there. Even so, we all set a similar intention. And that is difficult. That's what we're teaching. I think that's what we're also here to teach, is that you can take that time to do that, because you're totally right. Seeing, because, the word worth, sometimes I have to dabble with it, because who says we're worth something or not worth something? So this is more an outside thing. If we go with star nations or we look at nature, no one says this tree is not as much worth as that tree over there. As nature does to itself, speaking to itself. Or animals, we humans have that. So it comes from judgment. But if I look into the non-material, you go with star nation, there is no judgment. And we are also moving away from judgment, and it is really hard. So I'm in now end of my 50s. I have experienced it over and over, and letting go of those, transforming them, and having enough experiences that they don't faze me anymore, that's difficult. It has been a very rough trip, and especially, as you said, because it goes into everything we live, into being parent, being a partner, being a child oneself, right? Being a sister, how I go to the bakery, yeah. How do I treat people that live outside, I meet while I walk around, and then into business. And the more I've learned, I become who I am, understanding that. And now that is another big point, right? In understanding what I am and what I'm bringing, then honing that craft, looking for the right. That's been like looking in a haystack. Where are the people that are similar to me, have experienced that? You had to look around the different continents as well, like you have. But it comes when I'm ready. So you can't even say, boop, I push the button and it all comes flying. It is this self-growth, development. The body has to change. The cells have to change. Some cells we have from infantry that got, my mom also escaped from the East Bloc countries. So something was in her, and I had to I carried along, and it takes ages. It's in the bones and until those cells are able to change or rejuvenate themselves or regenerate themselves. That's the word I was looking for. So there's so many things, and unless you're lucky, you will be brought it up and you really look out for your children. And I love that. But before I go back to the children, and that you really also decided to be yourself so they can be who they are, because when we change, they have the space, right? It goes on automatic. The partner, the family, they all change. Then the right people come to us, to clients. You don't even have to do marketing. They feel you, they find you, like the right teachers, also the right clients suddenly appear. That's what I've learned in life. And they fit right into the wheel one has created, the spiral, the way of living. And again, but it's always a new testing. I am still pure. Is my thought pure? Am I doing what I'm here to do on this earth? Right? Not what society tells me to do. That's a hard way. We're all moving there, but you are also a forerunner, right? In experiencing and sharing that and helping people now move into that. And you're like I don't know, a rock is not a word they can hold on while they experience. I don't know if you use the water, what crushes into their life once they made the decision, yeah, like you did. There's no way back. I have to do that or not, because it's not a halfway. As you said, it is really dedication to live what we are, to live our own knowledge, to express our own knowledge. So thank you for touching so many people and being so honestly and sharing your story, how difficult it is. And I think there are not many people that speak so openly about it, but that's what's needed, so other people feel understood and say, oh, it does take time and it's possible. And I think you show the world that it's possible.
Absolutely. If you are listening to us, and you feel like you're living someone else's life or living your own shadow, my feeling was, I'm playing small, playing safe. But your time is ticking away. And those moments
that's good.
will add up into minutes and hours and days. Once you again notice what's going on, 5-10 years passed. And that becomes, and I found that regularly, those limiting ideas about your life, whether it's, and I'm sharing my ones, is working hard for money. And there is not enough. There's not enough time. There is not enough money. These were coming from my grandparents who lived through 2 world wars. And these were legitimate, real things. In communism, things got taken away. Even if you worked hard for it, and working hard was a way of life. So some, as you said, Meilin, cells, it might be connected, attached to DNA or really ancestry, and we somehow got it downloaded, and it still needs to be cleared, because you could be hanging on to your family's limiting ideas or beliefs about life. And remember, if you are experiencing less than optimal results, either money or business or relationships or whatever is in your life, probably there is a root. And oneness, I think this is the beauty of oneness in what you do, Meilin. If we are all one, then what is reflecting back to you, that working hard for money, and I cannot, this is another one, big one for me, I cannot do what I love because I can't earn money doing that. Like, that took me 8 years to get rid of that idea. So in one way or another, what you experience supposedly outside, as with oneness, there's no outside. Inside and outside is the same. Then the outside results you are receiving and you're getting probably recurringly that are bugging you, that are triggering you, is some way a reflection of you, your beliefs, your self-worth, your self-image. And there is a way to shift that.
Yes, there is.
And that's where your freedom lies. And you said it so beautifully. I think you talked about, from in my understanding, there's this first stage from unconsciousness and struggling, and life is hard, things are not working, relationships fall apart, anxiety, fear, sadness. The second stage is having you restored to your true self. I call it true self as you, without the programming of the past or your family or whatever you've been suggested to. But one step from there, it becomes almost automatic, this mission. The authentic, playful version of you who has broken into this life where there is a product, a service that's very congruent with who you are, where you feel like never have to work again. That's the experience probably that you and I have, where you just exist, where you unfold and do what's most exciting for you every day.
Every moment.
And that unfolds into every area of life, as you said, Meilin, where there is no separation from who you are, what your work is, or who you are as a parent. It just becomes saturated in every area of life, or however you show up in certain groups or events, or how you choose not to. Because that could be sometimes the step you prefer.
Yeah.
To not engage. And I think why this journey is lonely, and it can be very lonely, as you step up and shift your awareness, your beliefs, sometimes with help. And yes, you will probably need mentors. You would probably need coaches and healers and shamans around you. They will be your winning team, and they will want you to succeed. Then what you see that sometimes you outgrow relationship, you outgrow friendships, you outgrow people who are not coming with you. And maybe in the village or in the town, I work with people who seem to be the only one in thousands and thousands of people, and they feel like they would really have to play small and go back to their old selves. But I keep their light, like the torch flame of the Olympics, that, hey, no, this is true. Hang on to that. Try and elevate these communities around you, because they need a light tower.
This
They
is
need,
so beautiful.
There is a reason why you are there. And if you want
Yes.
to in, you are lost, and then the region is lost. You cannot allow that. If you woke up, then don't go back to sleep, because then you're wasting your resources, your opportunities, your awareness. And I think that's a big gift for everyone around you. And that third stage is, yes, when you are able to live on your terms. And to be honest, sometimes you work more, supposedly work more than in your previous job, but it never feels like work anymore. What is your experience, Meilin?
Yeah, it becomes one. Also, I am anyway oneness. There is no separation. It's not work. I am who I am then in every moment. So I'm going to use my singing, Endre. The singing to change something I've been thinking about or read in the news. So I do a lot of global things for humanity or the landscape or singular. But then I go to the washing machine. I have, I bring all my things down. And on the stairway down, I sing a song that changes or brings memory. Or I go for a walk and I sing, and the wind takes it, I don't know where it needs to go into the world, right? It can be around the globe, halfway. It is always there. And I had to learn, though, to allow it to come out whenever, and not just only if there's a person sitting in front of me. This allowing oneself, trusting my thoughts, that has been a biggie because, I'm not a seer. I don't hear. I'm a direct translate. So I have always to trust what comes out of my mouth, be free to speak it and not to censor myself. So these were difficult things, and I had to build it up on people telling me back what some change happened with them. Yeah. And that these small increments helped me, giving me more freedom in exploration of myself. And then over and over and over, and suddenly, that I've learned I only paint when there's a need to paint. I don't paint, I don't have a schedule. But if there's a need, then I do a painting, and suddenly that painting, even sometimes it's a year later, a half a year later, a few years later, goes to the right person. But I don't say, I go down and paint. It's somehow the body moves me. So I learned to follow my body, to open up when it's needed, to not do anything too. That's very important. We don't always have to do, because things happen. We don't really notice it. Sitting in the sun, there is not this pressure of, I have a schedule, I've started planning, I set an intention, yes, but I don't even give it a time frame. Only what I would desire. And then I'm always surprised, or I've been over and over and over, been surprised what happens if I don't plan, because I couldn't even fathom that it would go this way or exist, or right. So life then unfolds. And then I thought, okay, then I just be even more myself. So it was really a learning of opening up and staying open, and not, expanding. And it's like with the breath, right? You take a big breath, and when you're really tight, it's even hard to take a big breath. You can tell them to take a breath, but if the body can't open, you can't tell someone who the body can't open to take a deep breath. For them, it's like, that's already a deep breath. And you have to slowly give a time to new cells to grow, to unfold, to create space that all these different cells can find their rhythm. So at the end, I had to find my rhythm, how I function. And once I had that, then it was, how do I explain it to others? Not an explanation, but how do I let them have part of it, or so they understand me, because I'm so different. Luckily, I'm becoming less and less different, because more and more of us have experienced the same thing, and the new generation just pops up and they are who they are. Yeah, that has been me. But at the end, it's all one. Everything is one with us. As you said, so beautiful. There is no in and out, and it's beautiful.
I think the biggest challenge for a lot of earthlings, I call them, because I don't like the idea of borders either. And I had this idea that you can, I think the Aborigines, you referred to them, they don't have this concept of owning land.
Mm-mm.
So this whole conflict of what's the concept of owning a land, or being in charge of the land and taking care of the land is two distinctly different things from some Western thinking and control and and allowing working with nature. And that's certainly how I felt different from everyone else, where I said, well, yes, you could travel around and sleep anywhere, or I think in the Scandinavian countries it's quite normal. In even state forests you are allowed to stay. I think it's how it should be, to have this is your homeland, earth. Then passports and regulations, as long as you're not harming anyone, is making no sense to me in any way. Maybe even land ownership is a bit extreme, although I love to have my own property. But I think the biggest hiccup, the biggest challenge for most people is to read, to come back to remembering what's without is somehow a reflection of within, to take responsibility and examine and reflect on, I've been doing this for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Sometimes I'm discovering in a half an hour conversation that, this person just connecting the dots finally, that this is coming from childhood, this is coming from grandma or grandpa. They have been doing this in some way for the last 40 years, and this is why they have the fourth marriage, and it seems like just the name's changing. They're having the same collapse of relationships, whether it's business, whether it's personal, whether it's romantic. They are running in circles, not understanding that somehow the common element is you, who has been unaware and has been set to repeat the first class in school because you haven't taken on the learnings. You haven't. I love this idea. My mentor told me about this once. If you look at life, your level of freedom on earth and how you show up, this is almost like level 1, 2, 3. I don't like the numbers, but in the games, in video games, you have to find the keys to then move on to the next level, to play life freer.
So we have certain experiences you were able to do or take in or embody, right? It's like a computer game, and suddenly you're in a new field. Normally it's larger, right? And suddenly you have more input. You learn about many more new things. So it's a courage to explore, which is really important. Setting out to be courageous, also courageous to be the outsider, or courageous to be the quiet one when you have a phase of finding out what is myself, or my self-worth, in your words, right? How do I see myself? Then you have to go a little away from people. You can't, because you have to feel even your own energy. You can't, many of us are very sensible to the field, the energetic light field, right, around us. And to say, no, then now I have time for myself and to learn more about myself. And it's appearing more and more, and I sense the whole world is changing. And you were speaking before. I'm like you. I would love to dissolve borders. We're beings to move around the globe. Maybe we're also imploding, so we're becoming less and less people again. It's going that way. And it was this way. So history or the new technology, science is showing us that it was this way. We still have an idea of 17th, 18th century and 19th century England. I don't know. I'll just pick on those for the moment. Right, that everything went out from here, but we're finding DNA, we're finding structures underground. The water is moving away from some areas, or ice is melting, exposing so many more buildings that have much older than we thought civilization is, right? And around the globe. So then we can again see, no, everywhere there was ancient history going 20,000 years back, 50, yeah. So, and that it was an intellect, also that smart people and not they were all dumb, like, we're triggered. But one important thing, the Aborigines moved all the way up here to the Finland to be with the Lappen, right, the Sami. And also we traveled, and you were speaking about the Scandinavians. They moved all the way down and traveled past Persia all the way up. We moved in Africa. We were able to move much faster, right? In the Ice Age, we didn't stay up north. We all moved very quickly where we were able, I think with 8 days, I've heard now, to go to the African continent because it was warmer there. So we're learning so many more things about ourselves, luckily now, which is throwing up many questions. And we think, oh, this is so much untruth. And this untruth has made our self-worth, has programmed our self-worth of whole societies and cultures. And so it's unraveling. It's like going back, unfolding. And I think we're in a really fascinating time at the moment where this is now coming back up, and we can feel freer to change. There is not such much restriction anymore of not changing. You're being invited more to change, and you are invited more to look at yourself and what you're made up, or look at your self-worth, how you feel about yourself, how you live yourself. That's what I would say. Do you sense the same? Because before we spoke, I thought, so what is this important of self-worth? About oneness, we've spoken the whole time. For now, in the fall of 2025, what is the importance of this? And it is really important that we become who we are and have that courage to say, I desire, I have a will, because the will has been taken away from many of us. And that's what's needed now, to take also back a little bit more oomph. Men, women, children, but that's we can have a whole new podcast about that topic. So how do you sense that now, that when you've come back, how do you feel now with all of you've learned and you've developed yourself? So are you in a way bringing everything back to your homeland and going into communication with your homeland in Hungary now? And because you have a fascinating cult, I've been there. The land is ancient. They're exposed. I have to say that now, everyone. There is millions of years of history is exposed in so many layers in Hungary. So that's a reason why you maybe came back, do you think? Why you're back home?
Well, it was more technical, I'm guessing. Would have been probably Spain or Italy. We loved the Mediterranean lifestyle of Australia. Somehow, accidentally, which doesn't exist in my world, we bought this beautiful organic farm that we are building, permaculture, and we're living in a small village where we have access to land, basic resources. I'm hoping this would be the new reform or a new movement to look at what's true and and you will find on the shelves you are sold cheap, low quality products.
Yeah, that's not.
And I see some major changes where people are again taking charge of resources. They want to have access to land and times growing their own food and be connected to a local smaller community, which is, I believe, a gift.
Yes.
There's those old times, I believe, you go back a couple of 100 years, people did help each other. They did not live in big housing estates where no one knows anyone, skyscrapers where it's faceless, where there is addiction, alcoholism, people are disconnected. I think this is against human nature to be disconnected so much from who you really are. Yet, I did have a few wonderful experiences, even in a city, Sydney, where we have been able to build small, local, friendly, supportive communities. So take charge, take a leadership position if that's what it feels like, because I think that was a beautiful 60-year, maybe 50-year study by Harvard. So if you're looking to have a long and healthy life, this study, and we can drop the link under this episode for you, has been conducted, and what they found was the major critical thing, that one thing that made all the difference in people's lives is having quality human relationships, being connected to communities, to others that help them to be more healthy and certainly live a longer, happier life. So you don't have to complicate it. And on top of that, I would say always step toward the people who are inspiring you to really start to spend time with those who you want to live as if you were already one of them. And I think because we have this one, the mind has this comfort zone idea where you feel comfortable is probably where you are, where you have all these people reflecting back what you believe about life. Oh, life is hard. I have to work all the time. It's stressful. Life sucks. Money doesn't grow on trees. Like, these are stories, and you will hear all of these back from others you're attracting to yourself.
Yeah.
So obviously the breakout is you to reach out for help. I have a 2-page resource to not complicate how you reach out for help. Look, you just look for someone who's a specialist in shifting whatever you have struggled with. Yes. Don't make it too complicated. Reach out to someone, have a free session, and see if it would fit. Then commit to it, see if it works. If it doesn't change anything in the next few months, obviously you have sabotaged yourself, and you have tried at least something to break out of where you are. Great, but then move on and never stop searching, because there is another version of you out there. I can tell you now. It's the web of life. You already exist now in this future, but are you going to take steps toward that future, or are you just staying and slowly deteriorate? You decide that almost every day, whether you reach out for inspiring conversations, you listening to podcasts like this, like listen to every episode with Meilin, because in each moment you decide whether you slide back, I call this, where you entertain yourself with cheap and easy things and addictions and video games and low quality stuff, food, all that, or you build yourself toward who you are becoming, to that authenticity. And I understand there are so many notifications, there are so many distractions today that they come back to you, and stay quiet to ask for these 2 or 3 hard questions I normally come up with. Who am I? What's important for me? And what is the vision of me in the future? Where am I going to? most people have no idea.
Wow, these are beautiful tips. And yes, you really are a doctor of self-worth. So everyone, he was talking about my podcast so nicely, but Endre has also a podcast which is called Doctor of Self-Worth. And also now you changed the name, or it's a new one, I should say, the Heroes podcast, where you really highlight that everyone is a hero to their life, to our lives, but also to each other's life. Yeah. Because one sentence, one hug, one wink with the eye can bring change, encouragement. My life can show someone else the possibility. So I invite all of you to listen to Andre's podcasts, so you can get ideas what others are going through. You also get to know other people, if they're the right fit for you, or if they bring an answer you're seeking to a question you have. And what also, I think we didn't speak so much about self-worth also, Endre, is that when we help others, we're there for others. And I know you help orphan children as well. That's very important to you. But we don't have to create a big what is it called? Or organization to do that. But a smile when you walk down the street already helps, believe me. A small conversation with someone who looks a little down next to you in the line where you go shopping, giving your time away to others, being present to children, totally not thinking about the washing machine, especially if your mom, important. They can sense when you're fully there. And give your presence and to nature. Maybe plant a tree, plant a few flowers, or just hug them or stroke them. Right? They can feel your energy. They bloom up, and others. So this is also building a self-worth, I believe, Endre. So do you have also another idea of how they can build their self-worth by providing something to others?
I believe, yes, bring peace and bring light, especially when there is confrontation. When you could, sometimes you just need to change some tiny things between people who are clashing and being so aggressive. And I'm not saying to be the third one involved in a confrontation, but sometimes it's just so obvious that they are just talking beside each other. They don't connect. At times, if you seek opportunities, you have more and more to be this person who brings peace and brings quiet. And yes, thanks for bringing that up. I do have this small project that's been running for over 10 years. It's called Visit Orphans Today. You can find it on Facebook, and COVID wasn't helping because this is a face-to-face experience. I believe we could have a so much nicer life on earth when those who are desperate, who have no resources, I'm talking about orphans in orphanages, they could have more face-to-face visits. I usually, when I come to see any orphanages and I'm traveling with my family, then we just stop by and ask what they need. Money seems to disappear sometimes, so we just take away a shopping list and we come back with whatever they need. So
that's a good idea.
An hour or two, and you can make a difference. You can, set up even helping them more and talk about it, share your experiences, because I can tell you will feel better. It raises your level of self-worth. The other way I help is because of this 34-year journey that hasn't amounted to anything, just the last final breakout. to reach and find my self-worth, I wanted to eliminate the risks. I thought, how could I
love that.
Not waste anyone else's time and money without getting results? And I believe that unfortunately this personal development market is very diluted. There are a lot of people, well, with their best intentions, probably collecting money, yet they are not so committed to get you results. And I said to myself, if I was able to give someone 45 minutes to an hour, and this is what I do now, it's crazy, right? Then I can see, I can gauge where is this hidden block, where is the root of their challenges which they have not yet discovered, and then see if we are a good fit, and then either in group or one-on-one, give them a guarantee of A to B. I think that's a responsible way to operate in helping others, to be one of those who are not gambling anymore. And I still say, regardless of whether you get a guarantee or not, although try to get some honest answers about, do your research. Are they raving reviews? Are they really helping others? When you reach out to someone, then move on. If it's not working yet, I wanted to completely hit that reset button and say, look, you either get what you want with me or you get your money back. So then it is really no risk.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I came up with this idea.
Yeah, I again, that's a whole new podcast episode if we go into that topic. But this is needed, that we're there for each other and really see what is needed to move someone forward in the direction they desire, or to also hold still and wait and not keep on running. Sometimes I think in courses, right, your whole life history is put into the first week and then create. Most people you lose so many people right there, and that is something that's also important to me. I don't want to lose people. That we really become present. It's about being really present, that we walk with everyone, right? So I was lucky. I had life in my life people that waited. So I walk much slower than others because of my cerebral palsy. Not always. If the mountain pulls me, I can be extremely fast. And they wait. And I think that we have patience, develop patience again, develop slowing down, and develop being able to stand still so everything around us and other people can catch up, can come, and that we pull them in that moment. Yes, this is a beautiful way to go forward. And I think more and more people are going to go that direction because they've experienced many things that don't function, and that it is being observed what did work with myself, and really going back to the experiences and what can I give. So for me, I always say, Endre, it's walking my talk, talking my walk. Yeah. And I think many of us are moving this direction, and also choose people who are doing that if one is a client oneself. And what you do is really nice, to bring people into their own strength, that they can create their own possibilities, believe in themselves, in their possibilities, in the ability, that's the word I was looking, into their ability to create what they desire, more or less when they desire. So thank you very much for doing all of that, and thank you for to have traveled the world and bringing all that knowledge, that wisdom that you have soaked in, or also you have radiated into all of those countries, back to Hungary and going into exchange with the land and the people, and to be that radiant beacon from there, and moving, the ability of moving change to something larger, faster, with a bigger rhythm.
Well, I really enjoyed this conversation. There's just one thing that came to me while you were sharing, that yes, we want to help, we want to pull you towards the authentic version of you. Yet, I think we would be unfair to be attached to you. I want you to be aware of that. There's a small story. It happened, I think, 2 weeks ago. Somebody came to me and he said, well, drug addiction. I have this issue now for over 8 years. And we had that first conversation. And I said to him, look, this is tough. And I feel that you are not 100% committed. And I asked him, you know what do you hate doing? Because we want change, right? He says, cold water. And I've seen he had this beard, big beard. I said to him, let's test you, whether you really want to change or you're just saying you want it, and whether you're ready. And I said to him, no, just send me the next 8 days, cold, ice cold showers, and have that beard shaved. And I'll be right working with you until we have to get rid of your addiction. And you know what happened? I got contact for him for 5 days. Never heard from him again. And that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. That means 50, clearly not 100% committed, disappeared. I know I helped him to get outside of his comfort zone. I know that was a life-changing session for free. And it's okay. His time is probably coming. But not
when
ready
the time
yet.
is right. Exactly. That is a really good point. Change comes when we're ready. I think at the beginning we spoke about this. But it's often underestimated. And we have a desire, but other things have to happen within ourselves. But sometimes it's really also our environment. So don't hit yourself over your head. Sometimes it's the people around you. They have to change for you to make the next step without, it's complex. And then it's really nice, Endre, to have someone like you there that sees that and gets you to observe that within yourself, because yes, there was change and it will lead to wherever that person wants to come when the time is right. Yeah. So celebrate the moment again. That's what it goes down and boils back to. On your journey, little tiny steps are so important and not to be underestimated.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, and thank you very much for all of your time, your beautiful insights, for sharing your experience, for being the courageous man and opening up, and for being here on the episode. Look forward speaking many more times with you. Time has
Namaste.
seen, yes, that we're stuck together, even though sometimes years have been in between. And that is nice. So whenever there is the time that we came together, that's how it is. So everyone, be courageous. Sit down, live your own rhythm, soak in the sun, feel what is right for yourself, and try it out. Practice it step by step, a little bit here and there, whenever you feel comfortable and ready. Otherwise, maybe just journal about them and the energy will bring you there somehow. That's what I've seen often. And yes, I believe in you. Endre believes in you, that you are a beautiful being. And we know we all are beautiful light beings. So let's all shine our light, be courageous to live our truth, our self-worth, in the words of Endre. And I'm Meilin, your host of the Moving to Oneness show, and I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.